Ferrari's prospects of winning the 2022 Formula One World Championship are decreasing race by race. For the scuderia, the Spanish Grand Prix could not have gone any worse. During the race, Leclerc held a dominating lead until a power unit failure occurred, costing him and the team the championship lead in both categories.
No! What happened?
Despite the disappointing outcome, team manager Mattia Binotto stated the following: "After a result like this, I think we should look at the positive aspects. I think that after the first 6 races, we would be able to assess the performance levels and hierarchy among the teams, and today, we can say that we have built a good car, and we have done a fine job of developing it. The Barcelona track is demanding in many ways, and it's unusually been something of a bogey circuit for us. But the F175 was the quickest car on track today, and today, Charles was comfortably in the lead, running at a very good pace. Now, we'll find out what the problem was that stopped him. Unfortunately, these things can happen, to us and to the competition. But given how many races are left this season, I'd say we have seen that we can fight for the wins in the upcoming Grand Prix, starting with Monaco, Charles' home race, and luckily, we only have to wait until next Sunday. However, being optimistic will not win you any championships. Ferrari needs to be honest with themselves and begin holding specific team members accountable. For instance, Carlos Sainz's performance since the season opener has been poor. Every Grand Prix, Sainz has become accustomed to going off the circuit or crashing during qualifying. One of Ferrari's first strategic mistakes of the season was giving him a contract extension. Sainz seems to be performing much better under pressure. When you combine that with the anxieties of being Leclerc's number 2, you have the perfect recipe for a driver with broken confidence. Sainz needs to accept that he's the team's number 2 driver and quit trying so hard to prove otherwise every weekend. Otherwise, he'll probably make more mistakes in races to come. Ferrari, on the other hand, must recognise that they are no longer the favourites this season, especially in light of Mercedes' return, which means they must stay on top of their car development and reliability difficulties. Otherwise, the problems of 2017 and 2018 will recur in 2022. The upgrade package Ferrari brought to Spain helped them manage their tyres, but it didn't address the fundamental issue they were seeking to solve, which was bouncing. Binotto has stated since Imola that the team is working hard to develop an improvement that would stop the porpoising. Nonetheless, the issue remains. With a budget cap in place, upgrades must be performing immediately on the car, with no room for error. So Ferrari has clearly failed. But what exactly went wrong for Ferrari at the Spanish GP? For Leclerc, everything was going well. He starts on pole, leads early, and is the race's and championship's closest competitor. Max Verstappen, his closest rival, even went off the track early on. He seems to be in a really comfortable position. But he started to slow down on lap 26 and crawled back to the pit lane with an unidentified power unit failure. It all went wrong so quickly. This was Leclerc's first retirement of the season, although he has dropped points in earlier races this season. It occurred at a time when the power unit had reached a high mileage, indicating that Ferrari's highly upgraded engine design is not as reliable as it should be. With its new internal combustion engine, Ferrari started the year in great shape, appearing to be at least a match for Honda and looking more reliable to boot. However, because the season is 22 races long, each engine, turbo, MGU-H, and so on must compete in at least 7 of them to avoid a penalty. Even if reliability fixes are permissible with the frozen engine requirements, a failure of some sort in race 6 is concerning. The impact of Verstappen's gain on Ferrari's vulnerability was immediate, with Verstappen winning and Sergio Perez backing a Red Bull 1-2. Ferrari suffered a major setback in both championships as a result. Since Verstappen retired in Australia, Leclerc has not won a race. After that race, Leclerc had a big lead over the Red Bull driver, leading by 46 points. Now, Verstappen has jumped Leclerc, who is now trailing by 6 points. And Ferrari is suddenly trailing Red Bull by 26 points in the Constructors' title following Carlos Sainz's underwhelming effort, which began with a terrible start and worsened when he spun at turn 4. As his engine problems emerged, Leclerc reported via team radio that he had lost power, and added, "I think the turbo has exploded."
No, what happened? Lost power.
A loss of power, a race that was going absolutely splendidly for him.
Ferrari has confirmed that both the turbo and the MGU-H, that's the motor generator unit heat, were damaged beyond repair following post-race inspections. As a result, they will be replaced. Ferrari also acknowledged that after thoroughly investigating the failure and its cause, the team is confident that it was not caused by a design flaw or a reliability issue. However, Leclerc will have to worry about potential penalties that could affect the title fight in 2022. During a season, drivers are only allowed to employ 3 turbos and MGU-Hs. A grid drop will occur if a 4th component is used. And this is Leclerc's second MGU-H, as his first one was intended to only further be used on Friday practices this season. At the Miami Grand Prix, Leclerc switched to his second power unit of the season, indicating that he'll need to transition to a 3rd MGU-H and turbo as soon as possible after this retirement. Unless Ferrari thinks a whole new set of components is necessary, the combustion engine should be able to continue to be used. Ferrari has not revealed its strategy for Monaco, but with 16 races left and his first power unit after completing 4 Grand Prix weekends, it's almost certain Leclerc will need to deploy a 4th MGU-H and turbo at some point later in the season. This would result in a grid penalty in the championship's second half. Do you think Leclerc will need a 4th MGU-H or turbo at some point in the season? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're liking the video so far. Leclerc was looking for a positive side after his retirement. He said he doesn't have an option but to focus on the positives, which he said were numerous throughout the weekend. Ferrari's advantage in terms of speed was boosted by changes that allowed the car to be driven lower without porpoising as heavily. The F175 has been fast over a single lap all season, but the team believed it had untapped potential due to the bouncing effect of this year's ground effect cars. At Barcelona, Ferrari unveiled their first major update of the season, which included a revised floor to better handle the porpoising phenomenon and allow the car to be run lower and gain performance. The outer vane of the VENTURI tunnel's entrance has been heightened and re-angled in an attempt to increase air intake without causing a pressure drop. At Barcelona, Ferrari debuted a redesigned rear wing and new trim around the rear brake duct. As a result, Ferrari appears to have been the fastest car once more, although you might argue that this has been the case over 1 lap every weekend, and that is merely due to race pace that it fell behind Red Bull in the previous 2 Grand Prix. Ferrari has also recently developed a tendency of using its tyres more aggressively than Red Bull. This trend continued into Friday practice in Spain, where the Red Bull was obviously superior over the long run, though Ferrari is hoping that once optimized, the improved car will be kinder to its tyres. After Friday's setup modifications, Leclerc stated that the vehicle was essentially not the same car at all in a good way. The trend appeared to continue in the Grand Prix, with both Leclerc and the team pleased with how the tyre management was working out, though we needed to watch the complete race to properly judge it. Leclerc claimed that encouragement gives him confidence for the rest of the season, and when he returned to the garage, he showed no signs of extreme frustration. He claimed it was because he needed to cheer up his disappointed mechanics. In Formula 1, there's a lot of person says bad thing isn't awful, but Leclerc actually seems to have found comfort in other aspects of the weekend, saying he still feels better after this race than the previous 2. But he's also aware that, despite the optimism in Spain, Ferrari's engine failure rendered the upgrades insignificant. So Ferrari is far from bulletproof and needs to sharpen up, especially because Mercedes has shown in Spain that it is finally getting closer to the front and will soon be ready to punish any sloppiness. Verstappen is leading the championship for the first time this year, and Ferrari can take heart in the fact that it was on its way to victory before the engine failed. But maybe the most important piece of information is that Mercedes is looking back and believes there is plenty more to come, which would mean Ferrari need to get their problems fixed as soon as possible, because this could turn out to be a 3-way competition from now on the track with Mercedes almost returning to full power. Let us know in the comments down below if you think Mercedes will join the fight from now on. That's all for today's video about Ferrari and their miserable ending to the Spanish Grand Prix. Be sure to like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to stay up to date with all our latest content.